So I was given this awesome opportunity to have a collaboration with DxO to cover their PhotoLab 9 and PureRaw 5. So a few years ago, I did cover the launch of PureRaw 3 from DxO, and it worked really well. And since then, Adobe has added AI Denoise to Lightroom, which also works really well. And since it's kind of an all-in-one thing, I've really only told people or suggested to use Adobe Lightroom for denoising. And on certain hardware, it takes a lot longer than others. For instance, on my M1 here, it takes a minute or two to denoise one 45 megapixel RAW file, and on my desktop behind me, it takes between 15 and 20 seconds. But DxO was always much faster on the M1 than the denoise was in Adobe. As everybody knows, Adobe now charges more for their subscription fee. It used to be $10 a month, and now if you're a new subscriber, I believe it is $20, so it's doubled. And it's still a subscription, and you don't really own the software. When it comes to DxO here, for PhotoLab 9 and PureRaw 5, they are individual standalone programs that you can buy a license for and own the software. Now with DxO's PhotoLab 9 and PureRaw 5, if you go to purchase these, they are standalone programs. You own the license, they give you a key, it's yours. Now you will not get future updates if they release like a PureRaw 6, 7, or 8. They will give you a discount to upgrade to those if you wanted. And speaking of discounts, if you want to buy these DxO programs, if you use MW Perspective at checkout, you get a 15% discount. I had taken my daughter out in a kayak to get sample photos. So we had something to edit in the program here. But whenever we went out, and we were out for a couple hours, pretty much got skunked and we didn't really see anything. So I went through my Lightroom catalog, found some of my more favorite photos. So I just dropped them into PhotoLab here, and we're just going to edit a couple photos. So if you're looking for a program to own, that is yours, that you don't have to pay a subscription fee, and it covers 95% of everything that you would need in Lightroom, this DxO PhotoLab 9 could. And as we go through this video, I will be comparing PhotoLab 9 and PureRaw 5 to Lightroom and all of its different options, and compare and contrast them so you get an idea of what this program is capable for. But here's a couple things that it does not do that Lightroom does, as it does not have an AI enabled like brush or healing tool. It pretty much just has the normal, stamp, clone, replace stamp. It does work good. We've used that for years. It's not really going to hold you back from making your photo. The next thing that it does not have is you cannot stitch photo panoramas in PL9. And if you have a synthetic panorama DNG raw file that you combined in another program like Lightroom and you want to bring it over to PL9 to edit, you cannot edit those in this either. And one of the other things I wanted to add that PhotoLab 9 does not have that Lightroom has is it does not have a window so that you can look at GPS tag locations for your images. Now, for myself, I do like to use GPS tag locations for many things so that I can map out on a lake or wherever I'm at in the boat and see where all of the different animals or wildlife and birds that I took pictures of. But it does save all of the EXIF data in the file, so whenever you go to upload it to like Flickr or something else, that data is still there and it will still drop the pin on the map where you were. And one of the neat things that this program does is as soon as you load in a picture, it will show you a preview of the camera you used and the lens that you used, and it will automatically apply profiles if you wanted to upon importing. And the last thing to mention is in PL9, there's an option to denoise your image in the editor while you're editing with everything you've done applied to it. Or you can export it into PureRaw 5, denoise it there, and then import it back, and you usually get a better denoised image going that route versus doing it while you're editing the image. So always denoise the image first, bring it into PL9, and then do your normal, edits you would do for Lightroom. So we're going to jump onto the MacBook and we're going to start editing some of my favorite pictures over the years for examples. And this first picture is going to be an osprey carrying a rainbow trout. So here is the image, and if you hover over top of the file, it will show you all your basic information, your exposure, your camera, your lens, shutter speed, aperture, all that fun stuff. If you click on the photo library on the top left, it will show you your breakdown of the location where your images are saved. Now, PhotoLab 9 does not have like a catalog as Lightroom would normally have. So whenever you import it, you have to save it in a file and a location, and you kind of just got to make your own catalog. So for instance, right here, we have an example of in my pictures where we have all the previous years and different images that we've had. My example folder. And we'll scroll back over all the way to the picture we're going to edit. You can make your ribbon smaller so you have space. This is a MacBook, I don't have a lot of space. Okay, so your editing tabs on the right side, you have your exposure, your color space, your denoising, your focal length adjustments, and you can also add FX like watermarks, which I don't really put watermarks on a lot of my pictures, but if I do, it's usually just for putting on like Reddit and things. So if people see your picture and they go, oh, that's that guy's logo, this is the name of his website, I want to see more of his stuff, they can search your name and find your information. Don't think watermarks are going to save you from getting your image stolen. It's not really what they're for. With that being said, we're going to go into PureRaw 5, drag and drop it right over, and it says Nikon Z9, and it was shot on a Sigma 150-600 contemporary. So we will use this profile, hit save, and then we go to process with preview. You can pick all these different versions. They also have an X-Trans on here for like Fuji cameras. And if you want a more realistic image without a lot of extra information added and like over sharpened feathers and things, you can always go to standard for your lens sharpness, and you can always reduce that down. And here, you have a little slider so you can see the before and after. This image isn't really too noisy. So here we finished denoising, and we'll just click Export To, and we'll click the drop down, and we'll click DxO PhotoLab 9. Obviously, you can do just Lightroom Classic, Photoshop, or something else. Down here in the file name, it says Untitled, and it says XD2S, so that's how you know this is the denoised one. So up here, we're going to go over here, go to the fourth tab, we're going to click Crop, and then you can just hit the cropping tool and just move it around kind of as how you would normally on Lightroom. Okay, so we got our crop in here. That way we have a general idea of what it looks like. Go back to the first page with exposure. We'll adjust the exposure, brighten that up, bring up some of the highlights, double click to zoom in further. Don't want to go too crazy on the shadows. Get the blacks in here. So we're going to turn on this Clear View Plus. You can see it really kind of punches it in, makes it a little over the top. So if you want to turn the intensity down just a tiny bit, if you want, you can do a style toning like sepia, which I don't even think that's a popular thing anymore, but hey, maybe you want to make that picture look like it was from 2003 on MySpace. We can go down here to HSL. This is always a good time right here. So we're going to pick a color, we're going to pick green, and we're just going to mess with the green a little bit. Kind of give it that little bit of a warm look back there. Your channel mixers down here, which is what I usually use for the most part. So you open your channel mixers and adjust the different colors. Main colors here. Then if you want, you can also select presets for your white balance. So you can do like daylight, cloudy, tungsten, fluorescent, all this stuff. Out of all these, I would probably like the shade. It's not the worst. I think that's kind of the one I might actually just go with. I might just go with that. Okay, so next tab. Now this is the denoising tab. We've already done this. We did this in PureRaw 5. And if you didn't do it already, This is where you would select the different ones, but since it's already denoised, it won't let you do it. And if you would prefer, if you're doing like landscapes or anything that has a clear horizon, you can turn on horizon and you can have this automatically level your image, but with this, there's no horizon, so not much for it to go on, so we're just going to leave that off. And if you would prefer, you can also click little question mark and it gives you a mild example of what all the different things are, which is really nice. I do kind of wish Adobe would implement this. So if you haven't used a tool for a while and you can't remember what it was for, you just hover over top of it, click a question mark, and it explains it to you without having to go to Google. So if you want this thing to automatically detect your subjects, so you don't have to do manual masking, kind of like how you do in Lightroom, click the first box here, go down here, click subject. Sometimes, depending on what kind of image you have, this can take a couple seconds. So here we go. It's found the fish and the bird in the image. You can see there's a little bit of goes a little bit outside of there, but that should be okay. So we can go down here and you have the same kind of settings as we did for the exposure page. A lot of these Osprey tend to have like a dirty brown underside, so making it a little bit of a white balance to like a warmer color kind of brings that out a little bit. So here is an image from the Pittsburgh Aviary from a couple of years ago. And it was pretty dark. It was an overcast day. I was pretty struggling in there with the 150 to 600. Started with this, edit, okay. Then we ended up with something like this, which for the most part worked out pretty good. And this, I believe this was on a D500. Then we also have a picture from the Z52. This is the original. How it looked, and this was after we did some editing to it. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. Then we have another bird from the aviary. This bird, I think it's from Venezuela, but this really cleaned up. Super nice. So the PhotoLab 9 would cover most of your workflow. And what I listed earlier doesn't affect you at all, and you want to get rid of the Adobe subscription. I highly recommend checking out PhotoLab 9 and the DxO PureRaw 5. And again, if you're interested, make sure you use MW Perspective for 15% off PhotoLab on checkout. So if this video was useful for you and you've enjoyed it, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit like on that video, comment down below if you've ever used any of the DxO software and what you think of it. So until next time, happy shooting out there. I'll see you.